The Hulu premiere of Brooke Shields' documentary Pretty Baby, Brooke Shields took place 1 year ago on Wednesday, April 3, 2024. The documentary followed the star's journey from her early years as a young actress who encountered widespread sexualization in Hollywood to her development into a lot more self-assured lady. It also traced Shields' life growing up in the spotlight, starting with her early attempts to break into show business as a baby model and ending with a mention of Pretty Baby, the 1977 film produced by Louis Malle that successfully popularized Shields' early sexualization. The 58-year-old Shields also disclosed for the first time in the two-part miniseries the specifics of a sexual assault she suffered more than 3 decades ago at the hands of a well-known Hollywood executive, as well as the effects the incident had on her whole life. Like a bull in a china shop, I never gave up. In an interview with People last year, the Blue Lagoon actress declared, "I will not be defeated." The archived cover story for People can be found below. Brooke Shields, just 12 years old, was already the talk of the world. She acknowledges, "I always felt embarrassed by the attention. Stupid questions like how does it feel to be beautiful would be asked of me. And I wondered, what does it feel like to be stupid?" Even though it was done in the pretense of adoration, sitting there means you are unable to answer because all they are doing is telling me how I look. By the time she was a teenager, her remarkable appearance, which debuted in an ivory soap opera when she was just 11 months old, had adorned hundreds of magazine covers, sold countless pairs of Calvin Klein trousers, and elevated her to a status of pop culture phenomenon. According to her friend Gavin de Becker, she was a nuclear version of what it is like to be judged by your appearance. "I was always portraying somebody else, and I did it to a T," Brooke states. A person who loved movies, a model, and my mother's daughter, each of them lived in isolation. And after doing that for a while enough, it becomes difficult to identify who you truly are. In her recently released 2-part documentary, Pretty Baby, Brooke Shields, which will debut on Hulu on April 3, she delves into this subject. She goes deeper than ever into her extraordinary life, revealing details about her difficult relationship with her mother and manager, Terry Shields, a lifelong alcoholic, her contentious role as an 11-year-old child prostitute in 1978's Pretty Baby, the public's obsession with her extramarital affairs, "I was the most famous virgin in the world," she quips, and her battle with postpartum depression. The 57-year-old actress claims, "I became a focal point for so many things, good and bad." She comes clean for the first time about being sexually abused over 30 years ago by a prominent Hollywood executive and not saying anything about it. She claims that back then, people weren't believing those stories. As she discusses her background, Brooke is honest, positive, and humorous, saying, "You see it all together, and it's a miracle I survived." Sharing her experience, in her words, hopes to help women feel less alone because it's about agency and finding your voice. "We keep so much stuff inside of us." Another discovery came when she saw her experience through the eyes of her 2 kids, Greer, 16, and Rowan, 19. They were both angry at a society that might take advantage of young women and protective of me, she adds. They mentioned the gritty HBO miniseries Euphoria, claiming that although the ladies were playing 17, you were that age. After flipping it over, Rowan asked, "Would you let me do it?" "No," was my response. "However, my mother allowed me." Was that accurate? Was that a mistake? It was an alternative era. It forced me to confront its unfairness more honestly than I believe I was emotionally capable of doing at the time. It is irreversible. That was my course. She didn't mind her early sexualized roles at the time, but it took her decades to comprehend the consequences. Many people expressed upset and even referred to the well-known French director Louis Malle's Pretty Baby as pornography, but Brooke didn't see it that way. She claims, "I wasn't uncomfortable at all. I got to have red lips and wear makeup. It was merely acting like a princess on a theatrical set." She starred in the adolescent film The Blue Lagoon, which was set on an island, at the age of 15. Brooke remembers, "They wanted to tell the story of my sexual awakening, even though I was playing a character." Her mother insisted on a body double this time. Why did an 11-year-old get away with nudity but a 15-year-old did not? Brooke queries. She refers to it now as a paradox my mom created, wanting to keep me a little girl and yet allowing this projection. Undoubtedly, the development was halted. When director Franco Zeffirelli asked Brooke to portray ecstasy in a scene relating her first sexual encounter on the set of Endless Love a year later, she said, "I don't know what that is." In order to get a response, he twisted her toe. I was like, really? How about taking the lead? Nevertheless, she claims, I was safe because I would show everyone that I wasn't that character the moment they said cut. These roles, along with the controversial Calvin Klein advertisements she shot when she was 15, were startlingly used against her in 1981 when photographer Gary Gross attempted to market naked pictures of Brooke that he had taken when she was 10, with her mother's consent. Gross's attorneys contended that since Brooke had established a business for herself as a provocative child woman, the Lolita of her generation, the images could not harm her reputation when Brooke and her mother filed a lawsuit to halt him. Anything remaining of Brooke's privacy was lost when they lost the case. Talk show hosts frequently inquired about the adolescent's dating and sexual experiences. She remembers, I just decided not to have one in order to respond honestly, and it was a non-point. However, the design was predetermined. She states, I've always felt like I'm not connected to my body or my sexuality. I was a cover girl for the most part, so it's all here, pointing up from her neck, and it was easier to just keep myself to myself. In the middle of the 1980s, Brooke was a Princeton student and fell in love with actor Dean Cain, a classmate. Her mother had pushed her to forego college and go straight to Hollywood, but Brooke refused. He was simply delicious. I was in love, so that should have been a beautiful time for me to enjoy it, she says. She fled the room after their first sexual encounter. I felt like I was immobilized by humiliation, she claims. No one ought to experience it. A few years ago, I told Dean as well. I expressed regret. I sincerely apologize for myself and I'm sorry for you, I added. It was really heavy to bear. After graduation in 1987, Brooke's career reached the lowest point as she struggled to secure acting roles. She met for dinner one evening with a Hollywood executive. She remembers, I thought I was getting a movie, a job. Then he recommended she use his hotel room to hail a cab. He molested her sexually there. As she states in the documentary, I didn't fight. I simply stopped. She held herself responsible. I was asking myself, why did I go up with him? She says, I shouldn't have had that drink at dinner. Since it had become second nature by then, it was quite simple for me to break away. Since fighting was out of the question, you just stop existing. That was not the case. She kept it a secret from everyone but De Becker, a security expert she had become close to. He claims it was heartbreaking to see Brooke judge herself, because she had spent so much of her life in the opinions of others. Watching her assimilate the truth has been inspiring. It's taken me a long time to process it, Brooke remarks. I can't be as angry today as I was then. Because it will be about him, she says, she decides not to reveal the man's identity. And only I get to own my truth. As she puts it, Brooke continued to move forward in the years that followed like a bull in a china shop. In 1994, she made her Broadway debut in Grease. Later, in the sitcom Suddenly Susan, she showcased her comedic skills. Her first marriage to tennis player Andre Agassi in 1997 helped her emotionally separate from her mother, but, instead of forging her own path, she became enmeshed in the tennis star's life, and the two of them got divorced in 2 years. We should have just been friends, Brooke remarks. Get the best of people, from captivating human interest stories to juicy celebrity news, by subscribing to their free daily newsletter. Don't miss a story. Counseling was beneficial. She claims, I've been seeing the same therapist for 35 years. Today, I went. The first thing I said to her when we first met was, I'm afraid if my mom dies, I'll die too. I was sitting in her chair. Well, we have our work cut out for us, she said. Terry passed away in 2012 from dementia-related issues. Brooke keeps her ashes nearby in a silver urn on her living room bar. She has also benefited from laughter, particularly when it is shared with her 2001 spouse, comedy writer and director Chris Henchy. Chris asks me, are you fixed, after we've finished our sessions? Are you okay? Are we okay? She asks, grinning. He can level me easily. Beginning is Now, which might also serve as Brooke's tagline, is an online community and health brand that she founded in 2021. It's the biggest, scariest thing I've ever done, says Brooke, who frequently records impromptu movies from her apartment in Midtown Manhattan. We wanted to inspire women over 40 to be proud of their accomplishments and eager for this new, exciting chapter in their lives. She is now filming a romantic comedy for Netflix called Mother of the Bride with Benjamin Bratt and starting Greer's college tours. Telling my truth has been the one thing that has kept me sane through everything, she claims. She finds it admirable that her daughters follow suit. We have frank conversations. I don't want them to experience the shame I endured for a very long time. I want them to experience joy. They congratulate her in return, saying things like, "Mom, you should show off your midriff and you have a nice butt. Ask me after some crunches and a suntan, I'm not there yet." Please visit RAINN.org or call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673 if you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault.